Hey everyone, we are live on location. I'm just kidding. We're just here on vacation and the news is pretty big, so I thought I just wanted to get on this and let's talk about it because we have some more exciting news about the relocation of the Arizona Coyotes to Salt Lake City. It was almost an assurity that this was going to happen, but now it is official. The Arizona Coyotes will be relocating from Phoenix to Salt Lake City for the start of the 2024-25 season. So I'm here to break down just a little bit more information. There's a few more details that came out, and so I hope you're enjoying the background. I'm loving it out here. If the lighting's a little bit bad, I apologize in advance for that. But let's just jump into some of the details here. So, first of all, Alex Morello will be selling the Arizona Coyotes franchise to the NHL, and then the NHL will turn around and sell that franchise to Utah Jazz owner Ryan and Ashley Smith for $1.2 billion. The $200 million gap will be distributed amongst the rest of the owners as sort of a relocation fee. But I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the unique things that came out of Emily Kaplan's ESPN article. So I wanted to attribute her as the source as we start talking about some of this. The first thing I wanted to talk about was I know that there's been some speculation on like how this all went down. And if you're outside of Utah, especially if you're an Arizona Coyotes fan, or maybe even someone in the NHL, a fan of the NHL who isn't really a fan of this relocation, it could be seen that Ryan was just kind of smelling blood in the water and just was being cutthroat and wanting to get a franchise under any means necessary. And from some of this article, which I'll read here in a second, I just don't think that that was the case. I think he was very adamant that he wanted a NHL franchise, and he even said expansion, and he mentioned that word in January. He wants an expansion franchise. And from this article, it almost seems like the NHL actually came to him, or I don't know who came to who, but there's been discussions, and the NHL came forward saying, "Hey, we don't probably can't make you an expansion franchise, especially considering all the uncertainties going on in Arizona. So, what do you think of being able to take on the Arizona Coyotes franchise?" And that's where we jump into this quote that I thought was very interesting by Ryan. He says, "I mean, if you would have told me at the beginning of the year that this is where we'd be, I'd say you were crazy. It was more of, can you guys pull this off? Can you really pull it off? It looks like the Coyotes situation's going to be a little longer than everyone anticipated, and the NHL kind of had an issue. So our response is very much like, we want to be part of the league, we think we bring a lot, we think we can add a lot, we think we can give back more than we take and help grow the sport." So from that quote, like I said, it really seems like it's been a back and forth, and the casualties of this, I know the Arizona Coyote fan base, again, I'm not going to get into this war between Utah and Arizona. I do believe that Arizona deserves a franchise and deserves to keep it. It's just the fault of the ownership and why all this went down. But we will talk about some of some of the other details of this negotiation that gives maybe some Arizona Coyotes fans hope. But there you have it. I mean, the NHL is going to be coming to Utah. Another thing that I wanted to share that I thought was interesting was just, okay, some of the other logistics about like what happens with the name, what happens with some of the history, how does all of that work? So according to the article, it says the Coyotes players, draft picks, and hockey operations departments will relocate to Utah, playing for a new, yet-to-be-named franchise. Smith said there's a chance the team will play with a temporary name and logo for next season. SEG, which stands for Smith Entertainment Group, is using a branding agency and is canvassing the community for suggestions. He says, quote, "It's okay if we take the full process and don't rush it because we're going to have it forever. And look, it's not ideal for me. I would love to come in and have it all picked out and ready to go." So two big takeaways that I took from that right there is, first of all, it looks like we almost have a Baltimore Ravens situation where Cleveland relocated to Baltimore but left everything, all of the history, the tradition, the trademarks, the records, all of that in Cleveland because there was this speculation that they would bring back the Browns, which in fact they did. It seems like it's a similar situation here where we are getting the players, they are getting the operations team, everything, but it's almost like starting a whole new franchise where none of the new records and all of that will be carried over, and it's probably possible for that resurrection of the franchise, which we'll talk about more here in a second. The second thing that I wanted to point out, though, was this whole coming under. I thought it was unique that they said on a soon, and a yet to be named team. So, and some reports are saying that they might go the entire year without playing with a team nickname, which I have some mixed feelings about. I get it that you want to get it right, and I think it's important that you get it right. You don't want to just feel the pressure to have to come up with a nickname just to come up with it, and then you're stuck with a terrible nickname, almost like how they got stuck with the terrible Jazz uniforms that I feel like came out. I think that he may have learned his lesson from that jersey debacle and is now wanting to make sure that we take the time with the right branding on this new team. So I do think that that is important. However, it is going to be a little bit, the hype is not going to be as much coming in without, an identity, really. You're just coming in as this like Utah Hockey Club or whatever. I don't know what that means it's going to be. So that's a little bit of a bummer. And as long as it gets it right, then we're probably not going to remember it. But it does sting a little bit. And so we have an opportunity here and I think how Washington, they did it right at first, where they called themselves the Washington football team. That was great. I actually enjoyed that nickname and thought it was pretty cool. And then they destroyed it by changing themselves to the Commanders, which is a terrible nickname. So I think if they do the first half of that strategy right, then they'll be good. And then as long as they get the nickname and colors right in the end, I think all will be forgiven there. So hopefully that comes out that way. The last couple things I wanted to hit on was, let's talk about what's happening with Arizona then. So he shared an interesting quote. I'm not quite sure if he was like forced to make this quote or if he just wanted to do it to just show the human side of things. But he said, "I agree with Commissioner Gary Bettman and the National Hockey League that it is simply unfair to continue to have our players, coaches, hockey front office, and the NHL teams they compete against spend several more years playing in an arena that is not suited for NHL hockey." He then goes on to say, though, "This is not the end for NHL hockey in Arizona. I have negotiated the right to reactivate the team within the next 5 years and have retained ownership of the beloved Coyotes name, brand, and logo. I remain committed to this community and to build a first-class sports arena and entertainment district without seeking financial support from the public." So then he comes out and says that what we were all speculating of why it might have taken a little bit longer to get all of this completed was because Morello wasn't just going to give up the franchise for nothing, even though it was a $1 billion price tag. He does seem committed to wanting to build something in Arizona. Do Arizona fans want that from him? I'm not quite sure. I won't step into that fight that's going on right there, but I do hope that it does come to fruition. I hope that they are able to secure a place where they can build that entertainment district. They can bring back the loyal Arizona Coyote fans, no matter how many of them there are. I think it's important for the community, just from what I've been reading and what I've been listening to. I feel like it is important and hope that they get that franchise back. So it does seem like they have kind of moved themselves into the front of the line for any sort of expansion talks. NHL has kind of been flirting with talks of expansion for quite a while now, so it's not surprising that they would give away this deal. And then if that were to happen, then Morello would have to pay that $1 billion back to be able to take on the team again. So a lot of interesting stuff going on there. So what's going on right now? What's happening with Utah? So they've already put out some links and some hype videos about the NHL coming to Utah, which is pretty dope. Also, they've put out a website where Utah fans can go out and secure deposits for upcoming season tickets. And even just within the first 2 hours, Ryan Smith tweeted out that they've already had 6,000 deposits, which is, I think, speaks to just how excited everyone is for this fan base. It does give me a little bit of pause and some questions and concerns that their website didn't really quite answer for me. And again, I'm willing to be directed one way, or you can obviously convince me of the reasons of why they do this, but just some of the stuff that stuck out to me. The first thing is that I did see that they were going to give priority to Jazz ticket season holders. To me, I'm not quite sure how that makes sense. Maybe they're just trying to assure that they get like loyal and people who've been loyal to a fan base before, but at the same time, you have two different fan bases. You're going to have some that are loyal to both, but you're going to have some diehard hockey fans, and I just don't think it's fair to be able to kind of push them out or put them at the bottom of the line just because they didn't support the team beforehand. Maybe there is a real reason for that and a good reason for that, and if so, I'm willing to be convinced of why they are going in that direction. However, they are going to have to play a pretty big balancing game, especially during these first couple years. It's been reported that obviously they've got to make some renovations to the Delta Center. That's where they're going to be playing. That's been confirmed. And I think due to kind of all the reports that have been out, that they're going to have to, rather than building a new building, they're going to like completely gut and renovate the Delta Center and make it hockey friendly and make it available for both teams. That's not confirmed. That's just my grasp of it and what I'm getting from everything. So we'll see if that actually happens. But for now, you do have this juggling act of a stadium that can hold more, but they have to shrink it down to make it viewable for hockey fans. I want to say it was somewhere in the report said about 17,000 fans. I could be correct on that. It might even be lower than that. And so how do you balance season tickets versus game time tickets versus so many people excited to come see this team and see them compete? So that is a tall task, and that, so I'm not going to sugarcoat that at all. I was just a little bit kind of caught off guard by saying that they were going to give priority to certain people who have nothing to do with this new franchise. But anyways, I digress on that. So that's it. That's what I wanted to bring out to you. We are going to keep riding this hype train. I'm excited. I knew that this news was going to come out while I was on vacation and was wondering how I was going to do it. So hopefully you appreciated this sort of format. So anyways, guys, we will be keeping on the tabs. And if you are enjoying this content or want to hear more news about this new upcoming Utah hockey team, feel free to like this video, subscribe, leave comments. Just want to get as many eyeballs on these videos as possible. So thank you again for all your support. And until next time, guys, take care.